come cook supper with me. I really don't know for sure what I'm going to make. Well, I know what I'm going to make, the main dish. I'm going to make some Cabbage Patch stew. It is really, really cold outside. I think it'll be really hearty. I'm going to make some cornbread to go with it. Both of those recipes, the cornbread and the Cabbage Patch stew, is in mine and Jim's cookbook. And I'm excited about the stew because I love it. And I'm going to get to use some of mine and Matt's beans that we canned recently, so that'll be great. I hope I've got enough cabbage. I may be low on the cabbage. I only had one small head, and then earlier today Paul asked me if him and Granny could borrow some cabbage, and I was thinking, well, that's what I'm gonna have for supper. But of course I didn't say no. I said sure. And so he come up and to get it, and I said, how much do you need? He said, I'll take half of it. So I think that'll be enough. I've got half of it left. So I'm going to get that started. And it's really simple to put together, but it's really hearty, and usually it makes enough that we can eat on it at least a day or two, depending on if Corey or Austin eats with us, if they eat with us, but I don't think they're going to tonight. So maybe it'll be supper for tomorrow night too, or dinner tomorrow, one or the other. But what I didn't know about, I'm going to try to do, is I've got a few winter squash from last year. This is one of them, and this is one that I thought would never last because you can see it didn't fully develop on the outside, the color, and I thought it will go bad really fast. And so I need to use it quickly, but I just never did use it, and it never did go bad. So I'm going to cut it up though today and roast it in the oven. And I'm really got a taste for cushaw pie, which this is not a cushaw, this is a pumpkin. But I tried Jim's recipe, it's also in the cookbook, and I did a video about it. But I tried it back, I guess it was back in the fall, and I just loved it. Now, it's very similar to lots of pumpkin pie recipes, and if you didn't know winter squash, you can interchange them. So you could use pumpkin in it, you could use candy roaster, you could use the butternut squash, you could use the cushaw. I see one of those sitting over there in my corner. So you could just interchange any of those you had with it. Anyway, I really have a taste for that. So it's kind of getting late in the day, but I'm going to try to make us a pie to go with the Cabbage Patch stew and with the cornbread. And man, that'd be a really good meal, especially on this cold, cold day. So I hope I'm going to be able to use this. If not, I'll have to go get some butternut. And I do have some in the freezer, so I could definitely use it. But I would rather use these that are sitting in my kitchen. Let's see, open this one up and see what it looks like. Oops, that's a good sign on that part. Really nice and orange. Smells fresh and great. It's not a very big one. I've got my oven preheating to about 425 or something like that. Oh yeah, it looks nice. Very nice on the inside. Let me get something to scrape that inside out. Move my cookbook. I guess move my beans, my cabbage, my half a cabbage. So I'll have somewhere to set the pumpkins. I really love pumpkin pie, cushaw pie, whatever you want to call it, but with the spices, you know, just like you have at Thanksgiving. I really love it. And I've always made Granny's, and I really love her recipe. But there was just something really special about Jim's. And I remember saying when I tried it, this will probably be the one I use from now on. It's got maple syrup in it. And I don't know if that's part of it. I don't know. It's just really, really good. So, here's me one. It's an amazing thing about growing, there goes my oven coming to heat, growing winter squash. I love to grow them because they're tasty, and we like to eat them in a variety of ways, not just for pie like this, but we love them roasted, and I make a great souffle with them, make a great soup with them, so lots of different ways to eat them. But I love it too because, like I said, we grew this last summer. This is February, and it's just been sitting in my kitchen. So if you're someone like us that likes to put up food for the winter, can and freeze and dry and all those kind of things, this is just one of the easiest ways to preserve your bounty. We didn't do good with our winter squash last year. We got them planted late, and then it was just a bad year for them because of the dryness that we had. We had such dry weather. but the few that we did manage to grow, we've really enjoyed. This is a pumpkin, is what it was, even though it doesn't really look like it fully developed on the outside. And it's really stringy, but I think that'll be fine once it cooks up. That's why I love the candy roasters. They don't, and the cushaws, they don't have as much stringiness to them, I don't think, as some of the pumpkins. Okay, got those all situated. I'm going to pop them in the oven, let those be cooking. Shouldn't take them too long because they're kind of thin. And then I'm going to get my Cabbage Patch stew stuff together. So I'm ready to chop up my celery, my onions, my cabbage. I'm just going to put them all together in this bowl here. And with the celery, I'm just going to leave all those leaves on it. They have really great flavor. You can see what I'm doing. Not that it matters. I'm sure you're good at chopping the celery. Pumpkin in the scraps there, which my chickens will enjoy. Smells good, but it sort of smells like a cantaloupe. It smells, I guess because it's fresh and vibrant, something I've not smelled recently. Maybe that's what it is. There's lots of versions of Cabbage Patch stew out there. But let me clean my hands and I'll show you where I learned to make it. I'm going to dig out my cookbook. This is Bisquick, Betty Crocker's Creative Recipes. It was made in 1980. And Granny, I've told this before about how she would collect, when you collected box tops and there was the green stamps and all those different ways to get things to the grocery store. Maybe there still is, I'm not sure. Maybe there still is ways to do that. But she was really into that, couponing and getting the things. So when she would get free things, she would try to get 4 of them, one for herself and one to put up for me and Paul and Steve. And this is where one of those, where it come from, was she got this one. I don't remember if she got us all one or if this was just hers, but it come like free with Bisquick, or maybe she saved the box tops or something like that. And I just thought all the stuff in it looked so good when I was young. And this is when Granny would let me, she'd let me cook whatever I wanted to, and it was really nice of her to do that, because I made a big mess and it didn't always turn out right because I didn't exactly know what I was doing. It's funny, I put, as I'm flipping through it, there's a sticker in there. I don't know why it's over the salmon sandwich bake there. But anyway, there was a recipe in here. I was trying to look at all the different ones I made. I think I made the Impossible Vegetable Pie. That was good. Of course, I tried the pizzas. Those were good. They were fine. There's desserts in here too. I'm back to the desserts and the breads. Let me go back to the front. Let's see if I can find them. There's the crepes and the muffins. Appetizers, I made some of those. Those were good. I should go back and try to make some of them again. I tried to make the meatloaf. There it is, with it's got wrapped in bread. We liked the meatloaf, but I don't think nobody liked the bread. I only made that one time. That was when I was young. Anyway, but then I seen Cabbage Patch stew, so I made it. Now the recipe in this book actually has dumplings. You mix up the Bisquick and you put dumplings in the top of it. After I did that the first time I made it, and maybe the second time or something, but then after that we realized we just like to eat it with either cornbread or crackers. So even when I was a young girl, I quit making the dumplings and just made the Cabbage Patch stew. There's the Mexican casserole below it. I used to make that one too. Anyway, I really was excited when Granny got this and that she let me make all the wonderful things in it, because they seemed so exotic compared to our usual fare of pinto beans and fried taters and cornbread. So that's where I first learned how. But like I said, there's lots of different variations of it, and you probably have your own. So I'm going to trim up my onions here. I got a small one and a bigger one. Maybe that equals out to, I think it said 2 medium. Maybe that's about it. Of course, all of the ingredients in here could be adjusted. If you don't like celery, you could leave it out. If you want more cabbage or less cabbage, you could do that. More meat, less meat. I've made it with very little meat before and it was still good. Just whatever I had left over from maybe what we'd used to do hamburgers or something like that. I hear my pumpkin in there sizzling, so hopefully it's getting done. I'm just going to cut this in chunks, and I'm going to use my little chopper here to chop them. Makes quick work of that. One of you lovely people sent me this chopper about 2 years ago, and we've used it a lot. Get all those little pieces that fell out and put them in there too. Now all we gotta do is chop up our cabbage. It's kind of pitiful looking because I'd had it a little bit in the fridge, and then now that I've shared part of it with Paul, but hopefully it'll be enough for us. It doesn't have much of a core in it. Sometimes you get cabbages and they're kind of fluffy on the inside instead of hard and stiff. That's how this one is. Kind of soft. Speaking of cabbage, our cabbage that we're growing, the little ones, they're doing good. They're about that big, I guess. About to the point that I need to think about up-potting them. How coarse you want to chop your cabbage, of course, is just totally up to you. I'm doing mine pretty big, it looks like. Of course, I can't resist eating part of it. I'm going to get me there's not much of a stalk there. A little bit of it. I love the stalk. I love cabbage, but especially love the stalk. I should have got me some salt. Okay, I've got my vegetables already. Got my beans. I got 2 jars of them. I might just need one. I've got the meat. Oh, and that's what I wanted to tell you about. You see let me get one that doesn't have meat in it. I'm continuing my endeavor to clean out our house, to go through all the closets and all the drawers and all that kind of stuff and share with what we can't use and everything like that. Well, recently Matt and I were talking about my favorite glasses. He doesn't like them that much. Just don't mind Matt, he's just passing through. It was these glasses. I was drinking out of a green one. I also have some this color. That's the one I've been drinking out of today. Anyway, I was digging out over the weekend. I went through the cabinets in here, the bottom cabinet, and some of the drawers, and was cleaning out. And I found a box of dishes that I knew they were back there that come from Matt's daddy. That was one of the boxes that he gave me when he gave me the green glasses. But I had forgotten that it had there were these plates too that went with them. There's probably about 5 of them, something like that. But I went through it, had some of the dishes in it that had the wheat on them. Some of them really, really wore. It's just that I could never part with them because I knew they were Miss Cindy's and Tony's and that Matt ate off of them. Anyway, but I decided I'm either going to use them or I'm going to share them with somebody that can use them. So I put these in the cabinet and we've been eating on them. So just kind of like for a little plate, not really eating supper or anything like that, or even breakfast, but like if you're eating your dinner or maybe you just got a little snack or something. Today I had some just chips and hamburger meat, and this was what I ate it off of. So I'm glad I'm using them. It almost makes me feel like ashamed or embarrassed that they've been under my cabinet for, you know, 30 years and I could have been using them all that time. But then in another way, I'm like, no, it's just that now I'm ready to use them. Does that make sense? Maybe it does, maybe it don't. But I thought, no, it's just that now I'm ready at a place where I'm ready to use them and really enjoy them. So I'm using them. I'm going to go downstairs and get a jar of tomatoes, and I think we'll be ready to start the Cabbage Patch stew. So I went down and found my tomatoes. I don't have any tomatoes left hardly. This is 2023, but they'll be just fine. I went through the tomatoes this year, and I found some tomato juice. And as soon as I seen it, I wanted it. So I brought some up to see what I think about it. Oh, the smell is wonderful. Taste is too. Somehow I forgot about it. Last year's the first time I've ever canned tomato juice. Matt, would you like some tomato juice? Or you can wait if you're in the middle of something, go right ahead. Looked like he was very serious. He was going to do something. He's helping Katie in the basement.
I got my mad face on.
He's got his mad face on, he said. So good. I'm ashamed to say that's the first jar that I've opened all winter. I just forgot that I even did it. So I'm glad I was prowling around to find more tomatoes and found it, because that is so good. So good. Okay, on to the Cabbage Patch stew. So first we're just going to brown the ground beef, and I just go ahead and brown it in the big pot that I'm going to use to make the stew, so I don't have to wash the pan. Let that start browning. Hamburger meat is browned. I'm going to add all the vegetables in. Give them a good stir. And then I'm going to cover the pot and let them cook for about 10 minutes. You just got to keep an eye on them, make sure that, you know, they don't scorch or anything like that. My meat did not have very much fat in it. It was very lean. But usually enough moisture will come out of the cabbage and the onions and the celery, all of it, but especially the cabbage, to keep it from scorching. Already smells wonderful. My goodness. Okay, I'm going to put the lid on it, let it cook for about 10 minutes. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. You see the vegetables have wilted down. I'm going to add a whole quart of tomatoes. Just going to add them all. I'm going to add our beans that we canned. And then I'll judge if I want to add another jar or not. I'll link to the recipe. It's on the blog, Blind Pig and the Acorn. It's in our cookbook, but it's also on there, so I'll link to it in the description below. And now I'm just going to let it simmer until it's supper time. I'm going to turn it down a little bit and just let it cook and marry, as Matt would say. And then I'm going to get my pumpkin out of the oven, and hopefully it's done and we can start on the pie. Pumpkin is done. It's really hot. I should let it cool, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to try to get it loose from the skin, just because I'm in a hurry. So I'm just going to try to do it and likely get burned in the process, but I don't want to wait. Well, that wasn't so bad once I used these, so I've got it all off of the skin. I think I'm going to run it through the food processor just to get it, since it is so stringy. Usually I don't care about it, but tonight I'm going to do that. And then I need to get the recipe out and see if that's enough. If it's not, I'm going to have to get some out of the freezer. I had enough. I had enough of the pumpkin. I only needed 1 cup. I don't know why I was thinking I needed more than that. But to make the candy roaster pie, or the pumpkin pie, or the cushaw, or the butternut, or even the acorn squash would work, you need 3/4 cup sugar, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon ginger, 1/4 teaspoon ground cloves, 1 tablespoon cinnamon or pumpkin pie spice. I'm using cinnamon. And the first time I made this, I thought that's an awful lot of cinnamon, but it was so good, so good. So of course I'm doing it again. 2 large eggs, 3 tablespoons maple syrup. Use the real McCoy if you have it. If not, pancake syrup, or even sorghum syrup would do. 1 cup cooked candy roaster flesh, or pumpkin, or cushaw, or butternut. 1 16-ounce can evaporated milk, and I did not get that out, so we'll have to see if I can find it in my cabinet. And if I can't, then I'm going to have to figure out what to use for that. And then a deep dish pie shell. Make your own or buy the 9-inch size at the grocery store. I did not make my own. I had some in the freezer, the roll-up kind, so I've got it already in the pie plate over here though. And now let's see if I can find the evaporated milk. I did not have any evaporated milk up here, but I found some in the basement. It wasn't enough, but I made up the difference just with half and half, and I think that'll be absolutely fine. So now let me go back to the recipe. So we're going to blend the dry ingredients, which will be really easy because it's just the sugar and the spices. Stir those up a little bit. And then we're going to beat the eggs a little bit, put them in here. I'm making some noise, ain't I? Okay, now we're ready for our syrup. And our evaporated milk and half mixture here that I have. And our candy roaster. And we'll just got to add our dry ingredients. We'll be ready to pour it in the pie shell. I think before I put it in the oven though, I didn't read that part to you, or did I? I don't think I did. Did I read all that? Just in case I didn't, I'm going to read it again. Blend the dry ingredients, and then in a separate bowl beat eggs before mixing syrup, candy roaster flesh, and evaporated milk with them. Then gradually stir in the dry ingredients with a whisk until everything is thoroughly mixed. Pour into pie shell and bake in a preheated oven at 425 for 12 minutes, and then reduce the heat to 350 and bake until done, 40 to 50 minutes. The pie is done when a knife or toothpick pulls away cleanly. The crust will have a tendency to get overly brown where exposed, and you can avoid that by covering it with tinfoil. Cool on a pie rack before refrigerating or serving. I'm sure ours won't cool like that. We'll be enjoying it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pour it in the pie shell. Or maybe I should just leave it in this. And I'm going to get my cornbread going, and I'm going to cook it first, and then this can be cooking while we eat supper. So I guess I'm going to just set it to the side and hope I don't spill it, and get ready to make my cornbread. Okay, got some olive oil and milk, got my cornmeal, and I use self-rising cornmeal, so all my leavening is already in there. Break my egg up just a little bit before I add it to my milk and oil. I think my pan is hot. make such an easy supper. I sure have made a big mess. Hear that sizzle? That's what we like to hear. Okay, I'll put the cornbread in, try to clean up some of my mess, and then I'm gonna put the pie in after I get the cornbread out. I got the cornbread ready while I cleaned up. Ooh, looks like I got it a little done. Maybe it'll be okay. I think I'm gonna put the pie on a little baking sheet just in case it sloshes a little bit. I've got the oven turned down. I'm gonna put it in for the first 12 minutes and then I'll turn it down even further. I've got it turned down because I cooked the cornbread at 450 and this was supposed to be at 425 for about 12 minutes and then 350 for the rest of the time. Oh, it smells so good. I hate the cornbread got too done. It's not burnt, it's just browner than I like. Of course, I've got to have a little piece. I tell Matt it's like a little mouse has been in there. He says, I know who the mouse is. It's good. I had a little bit of pumpkin left. I just put it in a little container and I'm going to pop it in the freezer. Probably about half a cup, something like that. It was, that pumpkin didn't make very much. And I will use that, if not in a pie, maybe the next time I'm making soup. Even that soup, I could just stir it in and you wouldn't really even notice it. Probably should just do that. Should I just do that? I think I'll just do that. This way it's one less thing to worry about in the freezer. So you can see it's just about a half a cup. I'm just going to stir it in this soup. No one even will notice it's there, except me. I'll know it's in there. I like to keep little containers like this just to freeze little bits of stuff. Now, if I was going to freeze something for a long period of time, I wouldn't probably use something like this, although it might be okay. It might be just fine. But just a little bit of this or a little bit of that I know I'm going to use really quickly, it comes in real handy. And of course, it comes in handy if I want to send something to Granny or Corey or whoever that I don't want them to have to worry about bringing it back. You know, those little kind of butter or sour cream or any kind of little plastic container like that comes in handy for things like that. I think we're ready to eat. I'm going to go see if I can find Matt. Called Matt to come get his plate, but I said, do you want to try the tomato juice now? I forgot that I made it. This is the first we've opened all winter, last summer. I just forgot it because I usually don't ever can tomato juice. We should have been drinking it. Ain't that good?
Oh man.
That's so good.
That's extra good.
It's delicious.
I didn't know you did can it or I would have done had it drunk.
No, I've got several jars. I canned it. Thinking that we would drink it and then I just forgot about it. So we're pretty much out of stewed tomatoes. If you know, I guess you've noticed that the last time you was down there.
We didn't can last year like we normally did.
We did. We just went through them.
We didn't eat that many of them, have we?
We have. We just went through them. So I was digging around trying to find. I found that jar was from 2023. But then I found all that and I thought, how did I forget that I made tomato juice? Anyways, don't that taste like summer?
Mm-hmm. I just don't believe we've eaten that many of them.
We have.
I believe there's a little girl that lives down the hill been scratching around the basement.
You think Corey's been getting some of them? She has borrowed some of them, but she hadn't come up here and got a lot of them. We've eaten a lot. That's good. We've been eating a lot of soup and stews. Yeah. It's got a secret ingredient in it.
Straightening?
No. I'm going to eat it too.
No.
I'm not going to poison myself. We'll just see if you can taste anything different in it.
I'm going to taste it right now.
Well, if you want to.
It's hot.
Well, no, you don't have to taste it now. I just meant whenever you eat it. Yeah.
I do want some salt and pepper though.
Okay. I'm going to drink some milk with mine, and I'm sure you know I'm going to crumble up my cornbread and put my stew over it. I know it'll be good. It's really nice, comforting food. Easy but hearty, especially on a cold day like today. Of course, we eat Cabbage Patch stew sometimes in the hot summer too. It's good then too. Really good on this cold winter's day. And the pie is going to be really good for dessert. I've turned the oven down. Now while we're eating, it'll have time to cook. And I think I might make some whipping cream to go on top of it. That would just really push it right over the top. And we're not going to wait for it to cool down like most people do with their pumpkin pies and refrigerate them or let them cool. We'll eat it hot, I'm sure. We won't be able to resist. That's how we are about a lot of things. Supper was delicious, really hearty. Felt really good to eat it on this cold winter's night, and it was tasty. We've all eat, Katie and Matt and I. And it's a little bit later than I thought it was going to be when we was going to cut the pie. But Matt was helping Katie work on a project, and I was babysitting Ira, so time kind of got away from us. But I want to eat a piece before we go to bed. So the pies, it's like warm, cold to the touch as far as I can hold on to it, but it's still warm, still feels warm. But it's been out a little bit out of the oven. So I'm going to make some whipped cream to go with it. Now for whipped cream, I just eyeball it, as Matt would say. I don't do that with many things, but I do with the whipped cream. So there's hardly any left in this, so I might as well just make all of it. And I will just whip this with my mixer, and then I will add sugar to taste. Probably a tablespoon or so of sugar, maybe a little more than that. And then we'll be ready to put it on our pie. Definitely, if you let it cool, it would firm up some. It's kind of on the weepy side there. But it will still be really good. Be firmer tomorrow, so you can enjoy it. How much you want? I'm giving you this big piece.
You're trying to fatten me up.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, dear.
Welcome. Matt couldn't guess what was in the soup. I had to tell him that it had pumpkin in it. He couldn't taste it. I knew you wouldn't be able to.
I ain't real smart.
You are smart. Man, that's good.
Gosh.
Hits the spot.
My goodness, that's good.
So good. If you let it refrigerate or cool completely, it would be firm, but I don't know. I think I like it warm like this.
That's mighty good, just like it is.
Well, of course it'd be good too. It'll be good tomorrow when it's totally cool, but it's just the best. Pumpkin pie, candy roaster pie, whatever recipe I've ever tasted. I think it's better than the ones I used to make.
Mighty, mighty good. This was a county fair. You'd have a blue ribbon.
Oh, thank you. It's a pretty good supper. Sometimes you just need something really good, satisfying, I don't know, comforting. Especially on cold days, makes it so cozy.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good. Only thing that would make this better is if Katie could eat it too.
Yeah.
Makes me glad I left the little funny looking pumpkin sitting there all winter.
Well, that's good.
That's really good. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me as I cooked supper for Matt and Katie and me. It was really a tasty supper. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia.
You're a pretty good cooker.
Yeah, pretty good cooker. I've been making that Cabbage Patch stew since I was a girl.
Well, I like it.
Got plenty for leftovers for tomorrow, so that'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Katie never did eat her other stuff, did she? That I made.
I don't know.
Oh,
She
I
ate some of
see.
this. But she can eat some of that tomorrow. Have that for her dinner tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And have this for supper. You know where these dishes come from?
Where?
One day I took Granny out there. Well, I guess we went to get her hair cut. I can't remember. And she wanted me to take her on out to the dump to see Lucky. So I did. And they had like a dump store. You've been in there where he's at. And while they was talking, he told me, oh, go over and look around and see what you can find. And there was a big old giant stack of these. I mean, probably about 20 or 30 of them. And all taped up together. Somebody had brought in there getting rid of. They're Fire King. They're old. And I told him I just wanted some of them. He tried to get me to take them all. I said, I can't use them all. But anyway, I took the ones.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, by way of Uncle Lucky, kinda.
Yeah. He always talked to me when we'd go out there to work.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't figure he'd even remember or recognize me, but he always did.
Oh yeah, he would. Yeah. All right, very good. I'm ready for a long winter's nap. Mine are Kerchief and I, my cat.
Ready to hibernate.
Yeah.